Hello, so today's video is a bit of a follow-up on my previous video. So my previous video was about trying to arrange a creative music space in my living room so that this music space could be visible and available at all times so that it would really push me to practice music a bit more. Today's video is about trying to create the perfect schedule. So it's not about trying to find the space for music, it's about trying to find the time for music. So this video is for you if, just like me, there is something that you're passionate about, but you've decided to just get rid of it because you have other priorities, but it really sucks because you really love this thing, so you want to make time for it. So that's what we're trying to do today. Before we start, there are a few books that I would like to recommend. I've already recommended them in the previous video, but I'm going to do it again. I really think they are super important. They can guide you more than I can, and you've probably already heard about them, but just in case, just to make sure, I want to recommend them to you. So those three books by Austin Kleon. So we have number 1, Still Like an Artist, number 2, Show Your Work, and number 3, Keep Going. Then we have those two ones by Mason Curie. So number 1 was actually Daily Rituals, and number 2, Daily Rituals, Women at Work, because it took them an entire book apparently to realize they forgot a lot of women. I would say they are both very important because in some cases it was people who had a lot of advantages and privileges in life and didn't necessarily need to work or to do the housework or take care of their kids, and in some other cases it was people working with a lot of kids and a lot of other priorities. And last but not least is James Clear, Atomic Habits. I really like this saying that we are the sum of our habits. So basically what you do every day, even if it's just for 10 minutes, will add up, and in the end, after a year, 10 years, after a lifetime, you will have achieved something. So for example, music, if you play, even if you have 10 minutes a day, it's better than 0 minutes, or it's better than playing like 2 hours once a week. So yeah, doing something every day really adds up in the end. Right, so that's it for the book recommendations. Now let's move on to action. Basically, it's going to look like we are playing with blocks. So first, let's draw a timeline. So in my case, I want to squeeze in as much music as I possibly can. This is just what I'm going to do for me. Obviously, it might be different for you depending on your priorities, if you have obligations somewhere else or like a day job or whatever. So that will vary. I'm using paper, by the way, but you can use like a whiteboard, a pinboard, whatever suits your need better. You can just decide also to just use something as a draft and then make it permanent on paper or whatever. So we are going to create 24 blocks and try to fit them in there. So the idea is that you want to create blocks with the things that you absolutely need to do and the things that you absolutely want to do and add in there. So for example, you need to sleep, so you need to create enough blocks for each hours of sleep that you actually need. You shouldn't deprive yourself of sleep, you shouldn't deprive yourself of time to eat, these sort of things. If you also have kids or partner and housework to do, you also need to account for that. Because if you don't do, then you just become a terrible person who has no time to take care of their partner, their kids, their house, these sort of things. So even if those tasks are not glamorous and they are not work, you need to account for them, because otherwise that's just not going to be a very realistic schedule. Unless you don't want to do them, but you might end up divorced. So as you want. So in my case, I would like to sleep 8 hours, but maybe it's too much. Ideally, if I want to have more time, I would need to sleep less. So I'm still going to put less hours for sleep. So in my case, what I'm trying to put in my schedule is music. So 1 hour every day would be good, but honestly, I would like to actually do 2 hours every day. So I'm going to try to do that. However, those 2 hours of music, I don't necessarily need to do them at the same time, so I'm going to do 2 separate blocks. Sometimes you also need to take into account some constraints. So for example, for the music, I can't do this too late or too early. So I like to do either 2 hours towards the end of the afternoon, or it could also be 1 hour at the end of the afternoon, 1 hour at the end of the morning. Usually, I prefer there. I obviously need some time to eat, to shower and all that, so I need to take this into account. I'm going to be very loose about it, just to make sure I'm being realistic and not too optimistic. I'm just going to leave them white. So there is 1 hour at 6, I like to eat early for dinner, and 1 hour at noon for lunch. The bigger shower time will be either in the evening after dinner or in the morning if I go for a run. Let's talk about this in a second. So here, for example, if you have like a day job, like a 9 to 5, let's say, you basically have to create blogs from 9 to 5 or whatever your schedule is, because that's a thing that you can't actually move. But that doesn't mean that you can't plan other things during your free time. So let's say, for example, that you also want to play music. You may not have the possibility to play your instruments, but you're still able, for example, during your break time, if that's something that you want to do to relax. You can, for example, listen to podcasts or watch videos that are about music, and that would work towards improving your skills or your knowledge about music. So the problem for me is that I want to do music every day, but because my priority is to actually make videos every day, and also go out and take some photos. That means that sometimes I am home the entire day, but some other days I'm home just for half the day, or I'm outside the whole day. So the idea with the blogs is that we can move them around and be very flexible about what we want to do. So first, let's see if I want to be at home for the entire day. That's the easiest. If I am at home for the entire day, I still want to go for a little run in the morning in order to just go out a little bit. In that case, I don't necessarily like to go out first thing in the morning, especially when it's dark outside in the winter and autumn. So like, let's say 8. And this I'm going to count as outside, actually, not as running, but as just outside time. Now, in that scenario, the main bathroom time is there. I should actually color those ones because they are not really visible there. Now we have all these little blocks left and we can put the work. Now this is going to be work from home. So either filming a video like I'm doing now, or editing a video, editing photos, this sort of things. Just because there are all those blocks left doesn't mean that you should color all of them. Because for example, there I have 2 hours, so you could say that's 2 hours of work. But if you do that, that's actually lying, because I need a little bit of time to prepare the coffee, then to prepare myself in order to go out for a run. So realistically, that's not actually 2 hours of work. That's going to be 1 hour or 1 hour and a half, something like this. So in order to be as realistic as possible, again, I prefer to plan not too optimistically, because otherwise that's kind of cheating, I guess, for me. So I'm going to put like 1 hour there in the middle. And again, that's the way that I do it. If you have other constraints, maybe going for a run is like the first thing that you should be doing instead of doing like this. That's really up to you. So let's say that after lunch, I give myself a little bit of time so that, for example, I can do the house chores. So for example, today after lunch, I did laundry. So you need to plan for all these things. So for me, I've noticed that I'm really efficient for like the house chores after lunch. And in the evening, after dinner, very often I've noticed that I'm starting to be tired. So I don't really start working again at 7. Usually it's more like 8. We can squeeze in 3 more hours of work. So in my case, editing videos. So if I do now like this, which is not super hardcore, that's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 hours of work. With that, which is not super hardcore, honestly, that leaves me, I still have 6 hours of sleep, 1 hour of running, 1 hour of cleaning and tidying, 2 hours of music, 1 hour to relax before going back to work, and 1 hour where I'm going to relax again or read or something like this. But as you can see, if I wanted to be way more hardcore with work, for example, and if I just wanted to keep work and music, I could like get rid of running. So that would be 2 more hours of work there, 1 here, 1 here, 1 here. The problem with that is that my house would be a mess, and there would also be no balance really in my life. That wouldn't be like super healthy if I didn't exercise and go out and so on. So I think it's still important to leave bits that are unoccupied. If you see some people giving you advice about your schedule and that you see that their schedule is completely full with work, no offense, but they are like, either they are lying to you or they are just basically being terrible with their loved ones, not cleaning the house, not taking care of the kids and whatnot. So now the beauty of these blogs is that you can actually move them around. You know that there are some blogs that you absolutely need to keep, like for example when you need to sleep, and the thing that you actually want to make your priority, that you absolutely want to do every day. So for me that would be the 2 hours of music. You can also have constraints like getting the kids at school, like your day job or on any other kind of obligations. So that needs to go in there. And then you can move the other blocks around. So that schedule is if I spend the entire day at home working. Now there are some days where I need to go out for like half of the day or for the entire day in order to take photos and to make videos. But the beauty of the schedule with blocks is that it makes you rethink what you actually want to do. So to give you my example, example, if I go out for the entire day in order to take photos and videos, that means I'm not going to be able to play any music, because if I go out from, let's say, 8 to 6, I can't really play music too early in the morning or too late at night because I have neighbors. So I'm not going to be able to play music like this. So that makes me rethink what I actually want to do. Do I actually need to go out the entire day in order to take photos? So there is basically an exchange going between you making your schedule according to what you want to do, but then you might also decide on what you want to do depending on what can go into your schedule. And if I decide that on top of making videos, I also want to make music my priority, then I need to rethink what goes in the videos. So for example, I can decide that I'm going to go out to take photos and make a video only in the morning, and I still have 4 hours. That doesn't change anything else. I'm still sleeping the same amount, and early I can do a little bit of editing, and in the afternoon I'm still keeping the editing, the 2 hours of music and editing in the evening. Or if I go out in the afternoon there, then I am moving things to the morning. So I'm going to do the music as late as possible, from 10 to 12, in order to not be a nuisance to the neighbors. And that leaves me 3 hours, 4 hours, let's say 3 hours and a half. And as you can see, in both of those cases, I am going outside for work, so for photography and making videos, but I am not actually running. So the thing here again is that you can define your schedule according to your goals, but you can also rethink your goals depending on the schedule that's possible for you. If I'm going outside to take photos and videos, there are chances that I'm going to be walking and to actually exercise. So do I need to go running on top of that? For me, no. For you, maybe that's not the case. Maybe you actually want to go running every day because that's part of your goal. Maybe you want to run races and stuff like this. For me, that's not the goal. I just run in order to stay healthy mentally and physically, and that's it. I don't really care about it. So if I'm going outside to walk and take photos, then I don't need to go for a run. So on those days, I don't need to plan time for running. And as you can see, those are still schedules that are not too hardcore. So the first one we said there was 1, 2, 4. So the first one we said 8 hours plus 2 hours of music. This one, so that's 6 hours in front of my laptop, but those 4 hours are also work actually. So we are right now at 10 hours of work plus 2 hours of music without being too hardcore. And if I go out in the afternoon, we have, so let's say 3 hours and a half plus the 3 in the evening, so that's 6.5, and 4 in the afternoon, so that will be 10 hours and a half. 2 hours of music, and I still have time for reading and cleaning and dinner and lunch and not skipping meals, so that is pretty cool. And yeah, so the beauty of the blocks is that you can really move them around. Alright, so as you can see, this really looks like a draft. So it's not super pretty, but then everyone has their own sense of aesthetic, and what is more pleasant visually for everyone is just really different. So then it's up to you to see how you want to do this. If you want to use a whiteboard or a pinboard or whatever is more convenient and pleasant for you to see, to get an idea of what your day is going to look like. So thank you for watching this video. I really hope that you enjoyed it. Feel free to let me know in the comments what are your organization challenges during your day. What are the things that you really love to do but you have no time to do, so that really annoys you, and how did you find a solution? Or if you didn't find one, also please let me know, let everyone know, so that we can try to find a solution for you. Alright, thank you for watching. I will see you tomorrow in the next video. Bye!